Okay, imagine this for a second. You watch a thief break in and steal your life savings. But instead of running away, they just pile it all up right in front of you, just out of reach. And you realize, with this sinking feeling, that there's absolutely nothing you can do to get it back. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, for a growing number of crypto investors, this is the uniquely agonizing reality. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, and this quote, it just hits you, right? It's from a victim named Helen, and it perfectly sums up the bizarre paradox we're looking at. The very thing that makes crypto so transparent, the public blockchain, is also what creates this invisible wall between you and your stolen money, a shield for the thieves. So, to really get what this feels like, we've got to look beyond the flashing numbers and the headlines. Because, this isn't just about algorithms and code, it's about real people and real lives getting completely wrecked. So, meet Helen and Richard. Now, these aren't some crypto millionaires or tech geniuses. Helen works as a personal assistant, and her husband, Richard, is a composer, just regular people. And for 7 years, they were so careful, investing every spare bit of cash they had into a cryptocurrency called Cardano. They were just trying to build a better future for themselves. And this is what those 7 years of saving added up to. $315,000. Think about that. That wasn't just a number on a screen. It was their life's work. It was an inheritance Richard got from his mother. And then, one day in February 2024, poof, it was all gone. And here's the really gut-wrenching part. The hackers got into their cloud storage and found their digital keys. Now think of these keys like the actual physical key to a safe deposit box that holds all your money. Once the thieves halve that key, they have everything, and they just transferred it all out. And because every crypto transaction is public on the blockchain, Helen and Richard were forced to watch in real time as their life savings got bounced from one anonymous digital wallet to another. It's like watching a getaway car that you can see, but you have no idea who's driving or where it's going. Look, Helen and Richard's story is just awful. But the scary thing is, it's not unique. It's actually part of this massive global crime wave that's exploded right alongside crypto's popularity. So let's zoom out for a second and look at just how big this problem is. So get this. According to the blockchain analysis firm Chainalysis, last year alone, criminals stole over $3.4 billion worth of crypto. And that's not a one-off. That number has been in the billions every single year since 2020. It's just a staggering amount of money. And here's the part that should really get your attention, especially if you hold any crypto yourself. You always hear about the giant corporate hacks, right? But the real story is that attacks on individuals, on people like you and me, are just skyrocketing. We're talking 80,000 reported attacks last year. That's double what it was just a couple of years ago. The criminals are figuring out that regular people are way easier targets. So let's break down that big $3.4 billion number. Over 700 million of that was swiped directly from the wallets of everyday investors. And you know what? Experts think the real number is probably way, way higher because so many people are just too embarrassed or feel like it's hopeless to even report it. So when you look at the whole pie, yeah, the big corporate thefts are the largest slice, about 80%. But that other 20%, the piece that represents individuals, that is not some small rounding error. That's over $700 million. That's tens of thousands of stories, just like Helen and Richard's. Okay, so how is this even happening? You're probably picturing these genius hackers in dark rooms, right? And sure, some of it is that. But the really wild part is that a lot of criminals are using old-school, brutally simple tricks to steal these super high-tech assets. Yeah, there's even a name for it in the crypto world, wrench attacks. And it is exactly as grim as it sounds. We're talking about actual physical violence, home invasions, robberies, kidnappings, where criminals threaten people, sometimes literally with a wrench, and force them to transfer their crypto right then and there. And those wrench attacks, that's just one page in their playbook. They're doing it all. You've got the straightforward digital hacks like what happened to Helen and Richard. Then there's really clever social engineering where they'll pretend to be from a crypto exchange to trick you. They'll even buy hacked customer lists from luxury brands to figure out who has money and make them a target. And don't think this is just a bunch of lone wolves. It's getting organized. Take this case in the US. A group of young guys who literally called themselves the Social Engineering Enterprise. They were accused of stealing over $260 million. Their whole method was using hacked data to find wealthy crypto owners and then conning them into giving it all up. So what happens to all that stolen money? Well, prosecutors say it paid for a lifestyle that's just insane. We are talking private jets, super expensive cars, luxury handbags that they would just hand out at nightclubs. This wasn't just numbers on a screen. This digital theft funded a very real, very over-the-top life of crime. All of this, it really brings us to the central idea, the big philosophical debate at the heart of crypto itself. And that's the concept of self-custody, the idea that you are your own bank. It's the technology's greatest promise and also its greatest danger. And the difference is just night and day, right? On one hand, you've got your traditional bank. It's regulated, your money's insured, there's a fraud department to call. But the catch is, they ultimately control your account. On the other hand, you have crypto that you hold yourself. There's zero regulation, no insurance, no 1-800 number to call when you get robbed. But the trade-off is you have absolute 100% control over your money.
And the regulators, they are not beating around the bush on this. This is a direct quote from the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, and it's blunt. If something goes wrong, it is unlikely you will be protected, so you should be prepared to lose all your money. It's a pretty stark warning, isn't it? With great freedom comes, well, the crushing weight of total responsibility. You lose it, it is gone. Period.
So that brings us back to Helen and Richard. After going through this absolute nightmare, after losing everything, how did it change how they feel about crypto? You'd think they'd be done with it forever, right?
The consequences in the real world were just brutal. In Richard's own words, "My mother's money has gone. We've had to sell musical instruments and our car, and we were briefly homeless." I mean, this wasn't just losing an investment. This was a catastrophe that completely turned their lives inside out.
But here's the thing that's truly unbelievable. The most surprising part of this whole story. After all of that, they haven't given up. They haven't lost faith in crypto. In fact, they're trying to save up enough money to hire private investigators. And they say if they ever get their money back, they're going to reinvest it right back into crypto. And that just leaves us with this huge, lingering question, doesn't it? The whole promise of crypto is total financial freedom. But in a world with no safety net, with no one to call for help, who protects you from the freedom of others? The freedom of a thief to take everything you have? That's the paradox at the heart of it all, and it's a question every single person in this space has to grapple with.